I asked my family to come to kind of fill up the space here. Yeah, I was so excited when Spike said, "Oh, Keith and Linda are going to host this." I was like, yes. I'm like, let's just skip this and go outside and bring all the snacks and go out there. So first, Spike said, "Could you give a talk to the group?" And I'm like, well, like, what about? He's like, "Well, pick a topic." So I thought I could talk about my career as an illustrator, which has had some, highs and some lows, but it's not really been remarkable. There are very remarkable illustrators in Cleveland. There's Dante Terzini, there's Michael Robertson, there's Gennaro Mertopolova. There are some very remarkable illustrators. So I was like, yeah, that's not too exciting to talk about my illustration career, which has been 40 plus years already. And so, but I did think I wanted to talk about what my brother and business partner, Nate Padavick, and I have created, because for me, I didn't see it coming. We didn't plan for it. And it just all happened in kind of a crazy way. And it has a big reach to the illustration community. And I think as creatives or whatever your disciplines here are, there's a lot of takeaways that aren't specific to one particular focus of creativity. It's kind of a big, maybe something to tuck away for later. And, I really wanted Nate to be here because for me, everything's more fun when my brother Nate's around. We're more fun together. This is not going to be as funny without Nate and I, sort of Laurel and Hardy up here, but he's hiking in the Alps. So he just wasn't coming home with us, but he's always out and about. And even though he's not here, he's really here because he designed this entire presentation. He did all the graphics. I knew enough when he said, "Okay, so how about if you start creating some illustrations?" I just didn't, because I knew in about 12 hours, he'd say, "I have all the assets, let me just do it." And I'm like, that's what I like about Nate. So, okay, with that said, I'm sure I'll, okay, now, okay, there we go. Let's say, so the title, From Fresh Figs to Creative Communities, the story of an ecosystem of illustration built on food and friendship. So I might look kind of casual up here, lounging on the sofa, but this thing is so scripted down to the word, because there's a lot of facts and a timeline that I have to get straight. And if I don't have a script to follow, this is what I'll be talking about. These are some of the cats in our life. David, my husband's here, my son Sam. And the middle one here is Za Bun. He's our last guy standing. He's 18. And he's like got a bigger internet or Instagram audience. All right, so officially, I'm Salli Swindell, and I live in Hudson, Ohio. My brother and business partner, Nate Padavick, are both illustrators, and Nate currently lives in New York City. We are very strong advocates for the practice of illustration, and we are the founders of several online creative communities. That's what this is going to be all about. But we're going to start by going back to 1982. The 80s were so much fun. That's actually when I met Keith and Linda back in the mid 80s. Oh boy. And in case sometimes people think we're married, and I'm like, no, I'm the much older sister. And yeah, I don't know, the 80s. Look at those nerdy glasses of Nate's. But I have stayed, we both grew up in the Willowick-Willoughby area. And while Nate's moved all over the place, I've stayed in the Cleveland area mostly my whole life. And I graduated from the Columbus College of Art and Design with a degree in fashion illustration and retail advertising. Nate graduated from OSU with a degree in marketing, international business, and computer science. And it wasn't until many, many years later that we realized like how much our own schooling has helped us build our business. So big jump up to 2000. Nate and I began working together as a freelance illustration team it was about 2000. We had absolutely no plan. We didn't have any set business goals. I had been freelancing for about 7 years after working for 10 amazing years at American Greetings, which I actually could have given a presentation on how wonderful my years at American Greetings were. It sort of set the stage for literally everything I did after that. And some very obviously awesome friendships were there, and friends here in the audience from American Greetings. And my friend Patty, who is known as Pivotal Patty because she's been so pivotal in my career. So, I had gone on to become a freelancer after my son Sam was born, who's here too. And Nate was at this time transitioning from the corporate world to the creative world. He had worked for, and I have to really read this, Anderson Consulting, which is now Accenture. He'd been there for 10 years. And after leaving, he took a bunch of continuing ed classes at Parsons in New York City, where he mostly learned the Adobe Creative Suite. So then Nate used all those newfound technical skills to guide me into the digital age, which was no small feat. And I taught him everything about greeting cards and illustration and generously shared my client list with him. We quickly became known as the brother-sister duo at illustration trade shows. And this is kind of a sampling. At the time, we've done thousands and thousands of greeting cards in our career. We have done editorial illustrations. We collaborated with large corporations on development and branding. And this is just sort of like the tip of the iceberg on all of that. But I think, our different work habits and personalities probably has been the thing that's helped us the most. Because Nate tends to think at 10,000 foot level, while I'm more like microscopic, feet on the ground way of seeing things. And generally, Nate's always like, well, how are we going to make money from that? And I'm always like, it's going to be so much fun. So somewhere, it's kind of worked. But all of this makes it super compatible. Plus, I'm a people pleaser and he avoids conflict at all costs. So that just all makes it, we've never had an argument in the 20 plus years we've been working together, which does a lot. And I think I have a more casual work style and Nate's super formulaic. So I like to kind of think up big crazy ideas, and Nate likes to, build programs and execute systems and get out spreadsheets and all the things that I just don't like to do. And I think we use our creativity differently, but in a way that balances each other. We're kind of a good left brain, right brain, even though I don't ever remember which is which, who's which. But so these are some recent illustrations by Nate. And I have to, he has to be represented here a lot because the two of us could never do what we've done on our own. Like when he says, would you want to do this without me? I'm like, no. And vice versa. We just couldn't imagine doing this without the other. So he specializes in map illustration. And I think it's a great way for him to use his creative side and his analytical side. So he does maps for universities, site maps for businesses, travel maps for magazines. And the Hollywood one was commissioned by Sony Pictures. They sent him an autographed copy by Quentin Tarantino and Brad Pitt, which he instantly sold on eBay. Like that was it. I'm like, that's so Nate style. I'm like, really? He's like, I don't want this thing. So this is a sampling of my work. As you can see, I love colorful, bold, playful shapes. And a few years ago, I started a practice known as Stay Colorfully Creative as a way to power through Cleveland winters. When the days are dark and it's cold. So I gave myself this challenge. Every day I'd sit at the kitchen counter with David and 1 or 5 of the cats and create a brightly colored illustration, post on Instagram. And at the time, I was the first one to use the hashtag Stay Colorfully Creative. And now I think it has over 17,000 people have been using that hashtag for their own, you see people with like a cool manicure, they use the hashtag. Because I think for me, it's creativity. It's as much about supporting my own creative health as it is my emotional health. And this is just enough to kind of get me through the winters and just keep going with the color. This, I have to point out, this is like my big one-hit wonder. So my friend Patty here was the art director for an ironing board client, and she would hire me to design ironing board covers. So back in the 90s, I'm watching Sex and the City along with everyone else. Well, you should have been. And I see the birthday party happening for Miranda's little son, Brady. And I'm like, wait a minute, that's my ironing board cover. What? And of course, I pictured the set designer. This wasn't Carrie's house. This is Miranda. She was the least fashionable. And the set designer probably said, go find the most colorful, big, bombastic pattern out there, and we're going to hang it in Miranda's. But so thank you, Pivotal Patty, for my one big claim to fame. Yeah. Okay, so we're going to go back up to 10,000 feet. This is our current ecosystem of illustration. We think we each spend about 50% of our time on our own personal projects and the other 50% on the creative communities that we've developed and nurtured over the past 12 years. They Draw and Cook was our original platform. Then we added They Draw and Travel, They Draw and Garden, and that all has merged into They Draw. That's currently what it is. And we've also launched the Illustrator Circle and Illustrators For Hire. So at the end, if it's not too late, I'll pop over to all of these sites individually, the live sites. But they are 3 standalone separate websites, and they each have really active communities and nice, robust Instagram feeds. So the whole presentation, I'm going to tell you how each of these started, because we consider them all creative playgrounds for illustrators, whether you're professional or amateur or just, like to doodle. All right, so these, I will show you the live sites, but this is just a screenshot of They Draw, which you can see now. You can click to food, maps, or gardens, and anyone in the world can submit. It's totally free. And we see a lot of work from professional illustrators, but also students, amateurs, doodlers. And the thing about it is it's a really safe space to flex your illustration muscles, to be part of a community, and to see your work, live on a site out there. The current collection is on its way to 20,000 illustrations. This is Illustrators For Hire. This site promotes practicing freelance illustrators from all over the world. It is a subscription-based platform, and art directors use this site to find new talent. We cap the membership at 200, so it's not an overwhelming scroll, but it's also manageable for us to really know these illustrators. And if someone reaches out to us and says, I'm looking for an illustrator with this, that, we can kind of direct them that way, as we did with my friend Lynn here, who's at American Greetings. We helped her get connected with one of the illustrators here. And this is the Illustrator Circle, which is kind of a pay-as-you-go, a la carte service that we have live drawing tutorial, meetups, on-demand videos, and creative tutorials. I'd say that our live draw-alongs are my most fun thing. We bring on a guest and we just have a casual conversation. It always starts with someone's cat jumped on their screen. And we just sit and draw and chat with the guest. So this is more about these later. This has been our founding principle from the very, very beginning, and it has informed every single decision we've made regarding all the 3 platforms I just talked about. I think Nate and I have just always felt really lucky to have had the careers that we have and did have. And we wanted to find kind of a way to support other illustrators and help other people just have that good feeling of when someone sees your work and leaves a nice comment, or you feel part of a community. So this has been our founding principle, and it's been the thing that's kind of kept us on track for the past 12 years. So on to our master plan. Ha ha ha, we didn't have a master plan. I was just listening to something on NPR. Maybe they're talking about how the best ideas happen when you're not trying to think of an idea, kind of thing. And that was truly the case. One thing led to another, and we always kind of just did what felt right. But as we were putting together this presentation, we realized that there were a couple real light bulb moments throughout. And that's what I'm going to try and highlight. Things that maybe we didn't even realize were light bulb moments until we look back and say, oh, that wouldn't have happened, and this wouldn't have happened, and that wouldn't have happened. So that's where we're going to go from here. And we take a lot of family trips together, and our very, very, very best ideas, in fact, all of our ideas have happened while we're on a family vacation, hiking, just hanging out. And I will say, I won the lottery with the family. I have the best family. We have so much fun, parts and pieces. Sometimes it's the whole group. Sometimes it's just Nate and his boyfriend, Jim, and I. But all of the ideas have happened on family vacations. So, all right, we're up to 2009. And that's when our best idea, the one that took us from merely being freelance illustrators to content creators and community builders, happened during a super fun family vacation at Lake James, North Carolina. If you've never been to Lake James, it's really beautiful. Our family was all together, and Nate was in charge of dinner. So he was recreating this dish he had had recently in Berlin. It's fettuccine and figs in a butter balsamic sauce. And I guess this restaurant still is in Berlin because Nate ate there last week. So as we remember it, Nate was busy cooking, and I was just sitting at the counter, drawing the crate of fresh figs, and probably wine was involved. But it was kind of a big aha moment. This is the actual drawing of the figs I did when I was at the counter. And at that point, we had never had any food clients. I don't really know why, but I was like, we need to get some food clients. I want to draw food. This is so fun. I've never drawn food for a client. Big aha moment. And that was our first light bulb moment. We decided to create an illustrated cookbook to send to clients as a holiday gift. And so, all right, this is way before Illustrator recipes and food illustration became big. And you have to know all of this is way, way, way before Instagram. So at the time, there weren't many illustrated cookbooks. And if you did have illustration, it was just sort of like a little support secondary element. So our idea was to forefront the illustration and focus as much on the artwork as the recipe. And it was also like you're giving your clients something purposeful, not just like a book of your artwork. And I'm telling you, we were like so excited about this idea. We just thought, we are brilliant. It just felt really fresh at the time. So these are our two original recipes. And the reason they're long horizontal, we decided to use the iPhoto book program and create the book that was 6x9. So it's this, the book, well, it was the recipe would span the gutter. So it would go across the whole page, which is how we have this big, long horizontal side that's kind of wonky. And had we picked the square size format book, we would have created the first community connection platform based on the sharing of square shaped images like Instagram. Which would have been, not saying we would have created Instagram, but we would have been, because this is how people were engaging, by blogs and things like that. So dang. But, next light bulb moment, Nate did have another pretty good idea. He said, why don't we invite 7 other Illustrator friends to create an Illustrator recipe for this book? because obviously then our individual client lists have a much bigger audience. We share our client lists and it becomes a nice promotional piece. And this was essentially our first creative collaboration within the illustration community. So that was like a brilliant idea. And here are the original 8. We reached out to friends, many from American Greetings, and everybody created their own version of an illustrated recipe. And we ended up with this super fun and varied collection. So it's Nate's is the taco truck, because I guess he was too lazy to cook or have a recipe. Dante Terzini, superstar illustrator in the Cleveland area. Jenny Bell, she's our niece-in-law. She's now a very successful children's book illustrator. And then mine is the fettuccine and figs recipe. Betsy Snyder, who's now Betsy Snyder McCormick, another Cleveland illustrator, children's book illustrator. Michael Robertson, I think he lives around here, like a couple streets away from where we are right now. Really another brilliant illustrator in the Cleveland area. And then the late Corey Parker, he passed away not long after he created this. So we have his illustration forever on our site. And Jackie Clark Mancuso, a friend of Nate's. So you see there's the big question mark because one particular person kept missing the deadline. And in the end, they never sent their illustration to us. And we needed, the full set to make the book. So that led to another light bulb moment. Nate got tired of waiting for that last illustration. And he had the whole book ready to go. And we didn't want to just ask someone else because I don't even remember why. So Nate says, we've got these 8 great illustrations. Nobody's seen them. I'm going to put them up on a blog. Blogs were super big then. So I'm like, whatever. He was sitting at my counter. And I think this time I was doing all the work and he's sitting at the counter with wine. I circled through and he's named it They Draw and Cook. And there's our beautiful 8 recipes up on a blog. So this was back in 2010. And that's when blogging was definitely the new big thing. And here's the crazy thing. The day after he put these up, I went to a Valentine's Day party and there was a psychic on site. And he said, they were free 15-minute readings. And I'd never met Ernesto before, but I sat down, he looked at me and he said, your brother has an idea and it's going to be big, so you have to listen to him. And I'm like, I get in the car, I'm like, Nate, you won't believe what Ernesto said. So it was pretty wild. And this is Ernesto. He's the closest thing we ever came to having a business manager. We'd make appointments. We'd call him on the phone, Ernesto. And he always had spot on advice and he had some good warnings for us. He never really figured out what we did. The closest thing he said, whatever you do, it makes people around the world very happy. Yes. So if you need Ernesto, just Google Ernesto Psychic Cleveland. He's around here. He's really good. So that was Ernesto. And this was what the original blog looked like. Easy to navigate, fun. Again, food illustration wasn't big back then like it is now. So we were kind of at the very beginning of that trend. And from this point on, a few very, very, very pivotal things happened that we think set the stage for everything else. And here it is. Within a day or two of launching, we received this illustration from Leslie Ann Clark. We don't know Leslie Ann Clark. She's not from Cleveland. We just get this email. I got to read it. Okay. M&Ms, peanuts, and chocolate stars. Mix them together. Here's the kicker. You have to get a bright red casserole dish. When you arrive at the party, you take off the lid and everyone says, ooh, it's M&M casserole. So we get this and we're like, what do we do? Aside from the font, and this was a very big moment because right then we had to decide, do we post everything we receive or do we tightly curate the content? Is it about inclusion or exclusion? Are we generous and open or are we guarded and protective? So this was a very light bulb moment for sure, because of course we posted. You can't turn away someone showing up with an M&M casserole. So we posted it, and that is how we established our mission statement. That was when it really set. This is what we want to be about. We want to support and showcase illustrators and creators from all around the world. And I think at this point we realized this is really like a creative playground where everyone is invited, and you're welcome to join in and share the fun. And at this point, then the illustrations began to flow in like crazy, because I think it was no longer an intimidating sight. We have an M&M casserole at the party. So at this point, Nate goes into like his crazy organizational mode, spreadsheets, gathering emails, saving files. And I went into full-on chatter mode, telling every single person, the grocery store clerks, there's a new blog, a new site, and it's called They Draw and Cook, and you're going to love it. And it's Illustrated recipes. Like, my friends seriously were like, we know. Enough. But I think, we were both like just so excited about it. And we started communicating and going off into the things that we know how to do the best. And every single person that submitted, it was all by email. We would chat back and forth with them. We'd thank them. We'd leave comments when we would post their illustration. So from the very beginning, we started building these really good relationships with every single person that submitted. And by 2011, we had tons of submissions rolling in regular basis. And Nate was, of course, watching the analytics. I'm still probably out there chatting to everybody at Heinen's. And the traffic kept growing and growing. And one day the blog got over 50,000 hits in a single day. So this kind of pushed it to a whole new level. And at the time, the publishing industry was big on the blog to book publications. So we caught the eye of some publishers, and we had a book deal from Weldon Owen. So we got to choose 107 recipes from our big collection of 350, which now just recipes alone, we have over 12,000. And that book happened. It's a beautiful book. And it definitely led us to our next big decision. We were given a really grand advance of $25,000. So we're like, well, do we just keep it, go on vacation? Or, what do we do with this? Do we invest it back into the idea? And of course, we went right back to our mission statement. We realized that we were actually building this amazing creative community. And it was a place for creatives to gather, because, again, no Instagram was happening yet. I don't even think Facebook was happening when this was all in the very beginning. So for us, it was a way to connect to like-minded people. And at the time, it was drawing and cooking. And there couldn't be two better things at that point for people to kind of commune over. Then once we did that, this became our world, which this is when I need Nate here to what do all these things mean? It got complicated. But the administration of any creative practice is definitely a necessity. Whether you're a designer, a writer, an illustrator, or a musician, creativity demands a really strong administrative support structure. And this is sometimes what it looks like. So this is kind of what happened when we really decided to give it our all and to kind of go for it. We hired Neoteric Design, which was a web design firm in Chicago, to build out a big, beautiful, shiny bells and whistles website. That was not cheap. We needed, things to be more interactive. We had to engage PayPal. We had to become an LLC. We had to set up QuickBooks, whatever that is. MailChimp, I do know, create email campaigns. And I don't know, someone else could probably speak to what these things are, but all we know is that Heroku, we pay them $150 every month, and we still don't really know what they do. But that became our world. And during another family vacation in 2012, we decided to launch They Draw and Travel. And this was the first map that Nate created for They Draw and Travel. It seemed to be just such a good segue from cook to travel because Nate's always loved maps and the globe as a kid. And so for him, this was like something he could really get excited about. And this is where he was living at the time in North Adams. And once we launched this site, Nate realized how much he loved maps and how really, really good he is at illustrating them, engaging that part of his brain. And so thanks to our very own platform, Nate has gone on to have a super successful career as a map illustrator. These are just a few of Nate's maps. And I'm saying just a few. He is really good. And, seriously, you'll never get lost if you travel with Nate. We go someplace, we've been there for 2 days. He sits down and he draws a map of the city. I'm like, I still don't even know how to turn left or right at the corner. So yeah, thanks to our very own platform, he created himself a new career. So at this point, we spoke with a business development guy about the success of online platforms. And he said, 3 keys to success: content, community, commerce. And he told us that the first 2 were the hardest and the third would fall in place. So we for sure had the content. We definitely had the community. We still did not figure out the commerce part. To keep the sites running, just the monthly web bills and the MailChimp bills, we had to figure out how to cover costs. So we tried lots of different things. We sold prints for a while. Nate and I design our own fonts, and we sell those super cheap. You can go to our shop and buy them. And every now and then I see like a new product come out, and I'm like, that's my font. They got a new font for their new product, and it only cost them $5. That's why we're not making money. We create books. We self-publish, and once we go to the main site, I can show you some of the books because those are actually pretty fun. Amazon referrals is actually where we make a decent amount of money. If you go try to buy one of our books, and it takes you to Amazon because we use print on demand from Amazon. And even if you don't buy the book, but you go on to buy like a vacuum cleaner, we get a cut of that vacuum cleaner you bought. So it's crazy. Like we'll make a couple $1,000s a year just from Amazon referrals. We have a tip jar. There's been some advertising, but probably the biggest income comes from big brands and businesses who sponsor a contest. We had the Food Network sponsor a contest. We've had craft brands. We've had California Fig Association, which was, of course, like so great for me. I'm like, figs, it's all about figs again. Glad Storage. So what they do is they pay us a big chunk of change to host a contest where we get illustrators involved and engaged, and maybe they're creating fig illustrations. We try to make it fun for the illustrators, beneficial for the sponsor. And then there's big prize money. So we end up giving away like 90% of the prizes. So that's why we still haven't figured out how to pay our bills. But, we weren't really even counting for our own time and energy. So now we're up to 2019. Anyone need popcorn? Popcorn is like by far my favorite food. In fact, I got to design this popcorn tin. This was like 8 years ago. And this is full of olive oil, sea salt, vegan popcorn, which will be raffled off at the very end. But this tin of popcorn is still out there selling. And so far, I've made like $20,000 on royalties from Billy lettering design. Woo! That's got to count for something. Well, it did. It probably paid for a month or a couple of months of something in here. Okay, this was my art school diet: coffee, raw carrots, and popcorn. Yeah, I probably ate some paint too. Yeah. Okay, so 2019 was during another family vacation. I think Sam was taking these photos where Nate tossed out a new idea. And this is exactly how much fun it is when Nate and I start brainstorming. So at some point, someone's crying, laughing so hard, and It's just the best time because I don't think we woke up that morning like, let's come up with how we're going to make money. It was just sitting around having coffee. And Nate said, he said, maybe we should build out a website dedicated specifically to a group of freelance illustrators. Because at this point, we realized art directors were coming to our platforms and finding new talent because people would say, I got a call from an art director. They saw my work. They draw and cook or they draw and travel. So, and at the time, I remember thinking, well, we don't need that. I'm sure Nesta would have like jumped in if we called him. But Nate's like, no, if we build this so that it works for art directors and we kind of vet the people that are going to be on it, I think it's a good idea. So again, this directly went right back to our mission statement. And, Nate just loves creating new programs, new products. And he just started in on it, I think, during that vacation. And since he's an expert at Squarespace, which is a really nice website platform tool, he decided he was going to build this out himself because we literally had no money to hire anyone else. He built Illustrators For Hire. And I think because he's had some experience in building shops and subscription programs, he kind of gets in there and he works behind the scenes. And this is really a beautiful, easy to navigate, fresh site. Again, we'll look at the real thing at the end. So we are not like agents. We aren't illustration reps. We don't take a cut of any money the illustrators get from, we're kind of like just their biggest fans. And we promote them in as many ways as we can on Instagram, newsletters, and the such. And since it's subscription, we do get money year after year. So that brings us, we're almost done, 2020. 2 platforms underway, keeping us very busy, but we just happened to be on another vacation and started thinking, how can we engage even more with our creative communities? Because at this point, it's big. Believe it or not, up until this point, we stayed behind the scenes. I don't think people realized there were just 2 of us behind all of these sites. So we're like, all right, time for that to change. And we launched the Illustrator Circle. So again, Nate put his Squarespace skills to use. We kind of got hooked on this color palette. And he's busy behind the scenes. And I started doing my thing, reaching out to illustrators, talking to people, just kind of getting a feel for who might want to join this. It's relatively new, and it's kind of a place where we can all meet and share some sort of creative experience. There are live meetups. There is an archive of creative guides and tutorials. And there's a very fun collection of on-demand videos and special guests. So each guest kind of brings a completely new vibe to the group. And on August 11th, we have Sarah Hand, she's an author illustrator, and it's all about like creating fun, playful things. So she's coming on for our August 11th draw along. So quick wrap up. These are the 3 platforms. They cross-pollinate each other, and it's a good, healthy ecosystem. From a data perspective, these platforms include, and this is of course all Nate from here on out, an archive of nearly 20,000 illustrations, 8,000 members and subscribers, over 230 Instagram followers, 15,000 plus newsletter subscribers, dozens of videos and tutorials, and a constant flow of website traffic. So beyond that, we think that these platforms are sort of safe and very supportive environments and spaces for practicing artists, professional freelancers, aspiring illustrators, amateur doodlers, and everyone to kind of convene, commune, and generally support each other, while often garnering the attention of clients and art directors. So I'd say we are really, really proud of these communities, and we could not have done it without each other. And of course, without the big community that we've created. We've made tons of friends that we've actually met from all around the world. So quick recap. I think I covered this hot mess of Nate's flowchart. I mean, he showed that to me like, well, what do you think about this for the presentation? I'm like, I have a headache. Where's my wine? No, that does not work. Okay. I can hop over to the live sites and then answer any questions. So, but to do that, I mean, Spike will hop over because really?
That is so awesome.
Isn't it a pretty presentation tonight?
Yeah.
Very well done. Of course, I had to take out when we gave this a similar presentation in Columbus, and a lot of it was talking. I realized about me drinking so much wine. Well, he had slipped in a photo of me like chugging, and all of a sudden you see that in this theater in Columbus. I'm like, what? Okay, actually, you're not some part. Okay.
Can you see the screen?
Oh,
You can't see it? Oh, that's right, because it's only sharing Keynote.
Yep. Okay, let me just go. Just click on the.
You want this? Which one you want to start with?
Just hit they draw, just the name.
Can
Okay.
you do a plug for the raffle before you start the?
Oh, should we
Because
do?
we forgot to do that.
Okay.
So I would like to do that.
Oh, yeah, you do the raffle. You do the raffle.
Okay, so Sally, I guess can explain these, but she has donated these 5 books for raffles, and Judy's selling tickets. So let's see, Where We Walk, Colorful Easy Vegan, They Draw on Travel, It's All Greek to Me, They Draw on Travel. So these are raffle for fundraising for CD Pug. Judy will be selling the tickets at the back there, I guess. She already went back there. Okay, so you go and buy tickets, and then anyone that's Zooming, you can go to the membership page, and there's a place for $10. I'm not sure what it says, but you can buy $10 worth of tickets through PayPal on the website.
And then the popcorn, no one's sitting in the seat where you put.
I have a plan.
ticket.
I have a plan for that.
Okay, you've got a plan for the popcorn.
So do you want to say anything I didn't add about the books?
No, but I'll show them on the shop.
Okay.
So
Okay.
if you don't win, you can go buy them and then buy something else on
Please
Amazon.
buy tickets if you want to. We'll have some time at the end, I guess.
Yes. So this is now they draw. And if you click on food, it will show only food illustrations in a nice, beautiful scroll. We just recently opened it up to square submissions. So there's a lot of square submissions coming in. Also, we've got maps. We just finished a contest with True South Puzzle. They gave away $20,000 in prizes to illustrators that won, and it was based on let's see if I can hit one of them, will pull up. So we asked people not to create finished art, but to create mood boards. So we have these lovely mood boards of an idea and a theme for what, this was one of the winners, the ice cream, United States of ice cream. So this was fun. We didn't ask the illustrators to finish the illustration, just give us an idea. And 10 people won $2,000 commissions and 5 people won $100 fun prizes. You can click over and see all the garden illustrations. Our garden Instagram account is insanely beautiful. If there's one, you're going to follow another one on Instagram. But here you can search. There's different ways you can search. You can search by just Cleveland to see Cleveland illustrations, the guidelines for submissions. And then our shop is all of the books that we've created. Many of them are compendiums with work of many different illustrators. But also we've got, once an illustrator submits over 30, we reach out and say, hey, can we make a book of your recipes? We help them come up with a fun title, like the Artful Smoothie is Farida Zaman. And we create a book just of their work. We have the Illustrative Chef, Playfully Delicious, Good Looking Home Cooking. Like a lot of these people are really good cooks and chefs. So that is a little bit of, they draw. It's just, once you're here, we hope it's a really sticky site where you just keep scrolling around and looking for more. Here is Illustrators For Hire. Oops. Where did it go? Uh-oh. Well, I can get to it from here. We always have like the fun news in this little block here. Okay, here. This is Illustrators For Hire. So this site, you can search by specialization, location, the illustrator's name, and when you click on their badge, Lynn, you might want to reach out to this one. She's really good. She's kind of new. We give you all of her information. You don't go through us. You contact her directly. You see some more samples of her work. You can go check her out on Instagram. This is the site right now that is actually, we're making money. So yay for that. And the Illustrators Circle. This is where you can join, sign up, pay as you go, a la carte, how to illustrate a map, on-demand videos, testimonials, and then all of our archive of, I'm not going to spend a lot of time because it's getting late and you can go poke around all these sites. So yeah, we've had some really fun draw-along guests that come on and just share these amazing bits of information while just casually drawing along and such. So those are our sites, and the next vacation, Lord knows what we'll come up with. Maybe it'll just be a vacation. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Are there any, I guess, questions from the audience? Well, I guess if you come up to the phone here, you'll be on a Zoom and microphone. So
those are Amazon on demand.
Yes, yes. So you can, from our shop, it'll link you right over to Amazon, and they're about $14, I think.
let's see what it's here. Sorry.
Yeah, you can take a look. Their printing's actually, this is my favorite because it's hiking trails around the world. So people from all over illustrated where they like to hike and walk. And that's a good collection. Thank you.
Okay. Any more questions? Oh, there's a question. Henry, can you come up close enough to the microphone? Come up here. Come right over here by the phone. You do, because we want you to be recorded for Zoom, so the Zoom people can hear your question.
What motivates you? What inspires you when you do draw? Your illustrations. Are you motivated by your peers or
Yeah.
self-driven?
I'm both. I think I'm pretty self-driven, and a lot of times something will just pop in there. It's different every day. Right now I'm in the middle of what we call our summer draw along. So we give a prompt list, and everybody has to illustrate this particular list every day of the month. So that's kind of my focus this month. But yeah, I'm pretty self-motivated, but it's definitely flight of fancies. It's kind of why I don't love doing client work now, because I kind of don't want to be told what to do. And
I think you've heard that by now.
I think so. Because for so long, I never did anything for myself. It didn't even occur to me for like the first 30 years. And then all of a sudden I was like, oh, well, this is way more fun. So yeah, well, thank you.
I have a question about Illustrator for Henry's benefit, but are you seeing much for 3D and
augmented reality and those kinds of new categories for illustration as part of
Yeah.
things that you're seeing posted. Can you talk about that?
Well, we added a category in Illustrators For Hire for animation. I mean, it's way out of my scope to even have a conversation about that field because it's not what I do, not what I'm trained to do. But I think a lot of places, if it's not moving, they don't want it. And yeah, gaming. Actually, Sandra probably has it. Yeah.
I wanted to know what you like for traditional, like digital.
You know, I like Procreate. I'm like many. I just learned that and I fell in love with it. I don't know Photoshop. I know Illustrator enough. But you know, I've gotten my color pencils and ink pens back out, and I'm just trying to not have the luxury of Command Z because it's a little, yeah. But okay. Thanks.
Thank you.